Coach DJ LA Sparks Weekly, welcome back.
Thank you.
My first question is, we got the notification just like the rest of the world with so much hardship. My question to you is, how do you adapt? First time coaching, how do you experience this where Sparks fans have maybe had it in years past, but this is a brand new thing for you to have such hardship? How do you plan going into the game, and how refreshed do you feel with that plan?
Well, it's my first time in the W, but I've coached a long time, and I've had a lot of players with injuries, and it's part of it. Mm-hmm. I've learned through the years that you have to just keep plugging along, and the bigger deal I make of it, then the bigger deal the players make of it. Mm-hmm. And we're not going to use any excuses, right? So we certainly have hit some adversity, but that's part of sports, and sometimes you feel like you can't catch a break. But you just keep getting up and chopping wood, and you will catch a break. So that's my mindset. That's how I live my life. Like, just keep getting up and working, and treating people the right way, and as a staff, being as creative as we can with the scout and game prep, and you keep fighting. That's it. Yep.
Hey Coach Jackie Ray TV. We talked at practice, you said that you were looking out for Skylar, Nneka, and Erica, and now right after that Kelsey went out. So what's the game plan with Dearica and the rest of the team to really shut them down?
Well, I don't know if you can shut those guys down, right? But we have our hands full, and but I do like our game plan. I do think our players have bought into doing what we can to disrupt what they're so good at. We're not going to hold them scoreless, but we do want to try to get them away from what they really thrive in doing. We'll talk after the game, see how it worked. But I feel good about our group, and they have done a tremendous job of not focusing on things we can't control. We can't control the injuries; it's part of it. But what can we control? We can control our focus, our effort. How we play, how this is a game where everyone's got to lock arms and push in the same direction for us to be competitive. So sometimes those are fun games to play in. Yep.
Hey Coach, you mentioned how much of a luxury it is to have a player like Dearica who can pass like she can out of a post position, but with your three primary ball handlers out, could we see Dearica like a point guard? Is that something you've ever envisioned?
Well, I will not divulge that. We're gonna move her to the one. No, but I don't think Dearica gets enough credit for what she's doing. If you look at her numbers, I'm going to use your question to kind of give her some flowers.
It's all-star voting time. So
if you look at her numbers, and when I say numbers, I mean points, rebounds, efficiency, double-doubles, steals, assists, rebounds. She doesn't get talked about enough. She just doesn't. And what she does for our team and how reliable she is, she should be in those conversations with some of those other guys that have those same numbers with Fee and Stewie and Asia. Dearica's putting up the same numbers, or similar numbers. And she needs to be in the discussion more.
Hey Coach, going back to dealing with the injuries that you guys have, bringing in players, Grace Berger, Shea Petty, I guess kind of what's key to kind of getting them acclimated in such a short amount of time? At some point, it's basketball, right? But how do you kind of get them, familiar?
Yeah, well, it's you got to do it in a microwave, right? It's got to be fast. But like Shea Petty, she's total pro. She landed at 1 a.m. on Saturday morning in Minneapolis, and we played at noon. So how did we get her acclimated? Probably not as well as, not ideally as much as we'd love to, but she was great, and she's been a sponge ever since. And we've met with her, and we've done a lot of extra stuff with her just as a staff to get her familiarized. But so much of it, as we know, with basketball being a team sport, there's a lot of chemistry that goes into playing with each other for a while, so that takes a minute. But in terms of her getting caught up with what we're trying to run and all those things, she's done a good job. Grace got in last night at about 8 p.m. So we had a coach take her to dinner and kind of go over things, and then we met her early this morning on the shoot-around court. So it's, you do the best job you can, and these players it's impressive that they show up ready to go.
Left side, front row, John.
John David Davis with the Southern California News Group. Coach, strategically, how do you approach a game when you have 3 active guards and, like we've all been talking about, 2 of them have been with the team for maybe 1 less than a day, the other probably a weekend?
It is what it is. We just got to do the best job we can, and instill as much confidence as we can in them. I've liked both those guys for a long time, in Grace and Shay. They're good players, and so we just got to do it, right? There's no other way but to just attack it head on and get them as acclimated as we can, and put them in positions where they can be successful. There is no magic pill. It's just we got to do it.
Nikki?
Coach, considering the first half in Minnesota wasn't your vision of basketball.
It's well said. That's very nicely put. I don't know if I would put it that nice.
Well, what are the 3 keys you need to see this team start with as soon as the clock starts tonight?
I think we need to be super aggressive defensively, and I don't mean, pick up 94 feet, but there needs to be an intensity and an urgency defensively. And it's got to be everyone connected in that regard. But to your point, like, we were so bad that first half of Minnesota, it was embarrassing for all of us. And they did respond in the second half, so I'm pleased with that. But we had put 3 pretty good games together, and then that we just kind of laid an egg there in the first half. But so I want to see, and it was defensively just. Okay, it's over. I need to let it go. Let it go. No. So I want to see more urgency defensively, that kind of thing. Offensively, we've got to take care of the ball. The turnovers on Saturday were atrocious as well. And then I think, it's a game of possessions. We've got to do a good job on the boards.
Anthony?
Anthony Bailey on LA Times. Coach, yesterday at practice, we knew that Odyssey wouldn't be playing. After that practice, Kelsey was ruled out. Could you provide more details of just on when that injury might have occurred, if there's any further information on the extent of it, and whether, it's expected something to be lingering beyond tonight?
Yeah, we'll see. It's a lower leg issue. She had imaging done Sunday, and, at this point, we don't know. When she, one thing about KP is she does rehab and recovery, and she's so tuned into her body, like, she'll know when she's ready to go, and she's not ready tonight. So I don't know, but that's going to be on her and the medical team to figure out when she'll be back. Hopefully soon, but I really don't know.
Thank you.
Yep.
Justin on the right aisle.
I know you're only a quarter of the way into the season, and you have 3/4 of the way left to go. But when you keep seeing the injuries rack up, can it be frustrating that you still, like, you knew Cameron would be out for a while, but can it be frustrating that you have not really seen what your team can be even this far into a season?
Well, I can choose to be frustrated, or I can choose to be, present and coach up the group that we have, and believe in them and pour everything I have into them, which is what I'm choosing to do. And I've done this long enough to know that injuries are part of it, and it's almost impossible to go through a season without it. So I have 2 choices: to focus on the frustrating part or to focus on what I can control, and that's coach my guts out for the group we have.
Anwar, last question.
Yeah, Coach, De'Arca and Kelsey were the best duo in the league coming into this week.
Yeah.
Is there a third player or another player staying out in practice you want to be that third player kind of in a big 3 sense? Is it like Rakia? Is it another player like that you want to really stand out?
Well, I think we have a couple. I think Rakia for sure. I think Rakia, everyone in this room knows her potential. And she has done a really, really good job since coming back from being out. I'm incredibly proud of her. She's working super hard and doing everything we're asking her to do. Her talent, when you think of Rakia, you think of just potential. I don't think she's come close to how good she'll be. And so yes, I don't want her to feel pressure about she's got to be the big 3. She's just a sophomore, but and then Azrae Stevens, I think, has proven to be kind of a linchpin for us. When she's making shots, things seem to be easier for us offensively. So I think those 2, when we're playing our best, they're being productive.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep, thank you all, appreciate it.
it.